Airbnb has changed the way a lot of folks travel, but online marketplace is more than just vacation rentals. You can also experience using it to experience local culture. Here to talk about her Airbnb experiences in Japan and in Minnesota, ladies and gentlemen, from the blog Look About Lindsey. It's Lindsey, everybody. I always say Look Out Lindsey. Every time Lindsey's on, I say that her blog is called Look Out Lindsey. Look About Lindsey. Yeah. Anyway, this is cool because I'm such a dummy. I didn't even know that you could do Airbnbs outside of the U.S.
Yes, absolutely. You can do the staying outside of the U.S., but you can also do the experiences outside of the U.S.
Okay, so let's start. You recently went to Japan. We have some pictures.
Yeah.
You went to a fish market tour in Tokyo.
Yes, yeah. So first of all, with Airbnb experiences, a lot of people just think it's staying at a house.
Yeah.
But really what
That's what I think it is.
Yeah, so it's not. So essentially what it is you can book different activities through Airbnb where local guides will take you to do any sort of activity or adventure or tour. And it's usually a lot cheaper than a traditional tour. And they have just really great local people who know the area, who love the area. It's just a better way, in my opinion, to kind of explore. So we did, in Tokyo is where we started, where we did our first. We did a fish market tour in the old fish market and the new fish market. And all day we went out into these marketplaces. Toshi is the guy's name who took us around. It's the biggest fish market in the whole entire world, where tuna is sold for sushi, if you think about that.
Yeah.
So we basically went around. You can see
that's a big tuna, Lindsey.
That's a tuna. So we learned about all the different types of cuts. I literally held a flopping fish in my hand, and then he chopped his head off right in front of me.
Oh, that's lovely.
Interesting. Yeah. But you don't get that in a normal tour.
No.
But he bought...
Yeah, you don't get that at Masu. Yeah,
no. He bought all of the fish throughout the day, and then at the end, him and his wife made all of the sushi and cooked the crab, and we got to eat everything that we bought.
Were you in food heaven? I can imagine that.
I was.
Night.
You know, I'm always talking about food on here.
I mean, because when you see restaurants that say our sushi is fresh, you had some fresh sushi.
Doesn't get fresher than that.
Oh no, you will never. That is good.
Yes.
You also went to a food tour.
Yes. So in Kyoto, we did a food tour of the Nishiki market, which has been around for hundreds of years. And when you look at some of the food that you're seeing here, a lot of times you're walking through this market and you're like, I have no idea what to get. You don't speak Japanese. So we had a local guide bring us around and speak the language, order all the stuff for us. We tried everything from eel to fish cakes to all sorts of really weird stuff that we never would eat otherwise.
Okay, anything kind of freak you out?
I'm not gonna lie, we had sardines, and I don't know why I've never had a sardine before. It was just whole, and you had to just stick it in your mouth and eat it. That was weird.
A whole sardine?
Yeah.
No, thank you. I don't even like it at Domino's, so yeah. Okay, and then you went to the geisha district tour, too.
Yes, so we also did, that was part of the same tour.
We
walked around and they showed us a geisha house, and I just thought that was so cool. The whole trip, I was reading memoirs of a geisha, so I was just like geeking out the whole time.
Oh, that is fantastic. Okay, so also, the point of this also is, again, not just to stay, but you really do learn about the culture of where you are, and there's a tour for that.
Yes.
It's about the culture.
Yes, so this one we did while we were in Hiroshima. So this was a different Airbnb experience, actually in the island right next to Hiroshima called Miyajima, and we did a culture experience. So we got to put on the traditional kimonos, and the ladies were dressing me and telling me about everything that we were putting on. We did a traditional Japanese tea ceremony, and then we got to make our own matcha. And then after that, we did a little Japanese calligraphy course, and we got to write our own names in Japanese and kind of bring that back with us.
That is fantastic. And again, all through Airbnb.
Yes, all through Airbnb. Seriously, the easiest way. It's all on your app. It gives you directions, tells you how far it is away from the house that you're staying. It doesn't get much easier than that.
No, you had no glitches, no hiccups, no nothing.
It was awesome. Yeah.
That is crazy. Okay, so closer to home, as I said, I thought it was just available in the States. You can do this here locally. If you can't afford to go to Japan, don't worry. You can go to Anoka. I mean, there's Minnesota experiences. Yeah.
Same thing.
Same thing. Okinawa, Anoka. Yeah. So a Nordic spoon carving.
Yes. So this is one we thought, hey, we had so much fun in Japan. Let's see what's here in Minnesota, being we do so much travel around Minnesota. Yeah. So we searched on Airbnb for experiences here. And the Nordic spoon carving is the first one that we found. We actually did this a few weekends ago. It's run by Eric and Michelle, who are fantastic in Northeast Minneapolis, and they kind of pre-cut or pre-axe out the wood into a semi-spoon shape, and then they teach you all the different ways that you can use the knife to carve the spoon. It's now one of my most prized possessions. I spent so much time on it, and I just love my wooden spoon so much, but really, really unique thing to do.
Are you ever going to use it, though?
I don't know.
Don't use it. No, don't, yeah. Okay, bluff to bluff urban forest hike.
Yes, so this is another experience you can do here in Minnesota, and I was born and raised here. We live in Minneapolis, but in St. Paul, there's a lot of beautiful bluffs. You have the river there. So we did an experience there with Jennifer, and she lives in St. Paul. She loves the area. So she just takes you on a walk. It could be a walk. It could be a more strenuous hike if you want it to be. She kind of tailors it to you. But we walked over the High Bridge. We saw awesome views of the city, a lot of just hidden gems, a lot of history of the area. We had so much fun. I never even, like, how many times have I been to St. Paul? And I never even knew half the stuff was there. So local, if you're a visitor. And then, and then at the end, they do a little
Of
brewery
course,
tour.
Lindsay. I knew. I was waiting.
You're waiting for the beer, yeah.
It's like, Lindsay, where's the beer picture? I mean, where is it? More with Lindsay, her top travel tips when we return. Back after this. I was waiting like, okay, where's the brewery shot? Look out, it's Lindsay, everybody. More with Lindsay from the travel blog, Look About Lindsay. See, I'm going to do it carefully. So it is, I was looking at the calendar today and I thought to myself, oh my goodness, Thanksgiving is not that far away. So holiday, I know, but I'm not, yeah, it is. So you have you're an expert, you travel a lot. I mean, you were just in Japan. Some travel tips for everybody.
Yeah, so first travel tip, we've talked about this before, but really rethink about what travel means. A lot of people think traveling means I have to take a week-long vacation, take a bunch of PTO, and fly somewhere, and it's really expensive, right? You don't have to do that, especially with the holidays coming up. If you just have, a free weekend, think about taking a trip up to Lutzen or out to Stillwater. That's really a way that you can travel a lot more, and it's a lot cheaper, and see some of the great things in our beautiful state. And if you need ideas, I have a ton of them on my website for day trips, weekend trips, things like that.
We do that a couple. I love when you say. I love that. I love when you say that on our show because I do that a lot. We just went to Stillwater a couple weekends ago, and I felt like I was on a little, even though it was just Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I felt like I was on a little vacation, and it's just right up the road.
And it's also adorable little town.
I love Stillwater, No Neck Tony's, my favorite bar there. I love it there, I always call it One-Eyed Willie's, but it's one No Neck Tony's, but yeah.
So tip number 2, when you're thinking about booking a flight. So let's say you are wanting to fly somewhere. I know you guys have Jared from Thrifty Travel on the show all the time. I llove him. The trip that we went to in Japan, I was just telling you.
This is crazy, everybody. Listen to this.
I booked, so my husband and I booked our trips for, our tickets to Japan for free. So we used miles, 60,000 miles each round trip, which is like
nothing.
You cannot find that anywhere. So when you say if you can't afford to travel to Japan, I really think you can if you pay attention to some of those travel tips that he posts. And then also think about when you're looking at flights, there's Google Flights is great for this. Also, Kayak has a flight system as well where you can, if you know you have a week off, you can type in those dates and then it'll pop up a map to show you where the cheapest tickets are, whether it's in the U.S. or all over the world. So you can get a cheap ticket if you're kind of flexible with where you're wanting to go.
It's so easy. And no joke, just to put in perspective, I've seen trips to Chicago that take 40,000 points. I mean, so the fact
to Chicago.
So the fact that Lindsay went to Japan with 60,000 miles means those specials are out there. You just have to find them and be alert. What's been your, before we go, what has been your, maybe is it Japan now? What's been your favorite trip for whatever reason? I've never asked you that before.
Yeah, so everywhere's so different, but I really loved Norway. A few years ago, we were in Norway, went into the fjords, we did a lot of hiking. It reminds me actually a lot of Minnesota. I know the Nordic thing we have in common, but it's just so gorgeous there and so great. Otherwise, Italy.
Italy?
Italy's just amazing. I mean, you're drinking wine, you're in the sun, you're at the beach. Doesn't get much better than that.
No, it does not. No. Okay. Just a little bit of honesty. On the other end, what place wasn't quite what you thought it was going to be? Notice I'm not saying disappointing, but what place was like, just for, everyone has their favorites. What wasn't? What didn't live up to your expectations?
So we also went. It was actually the same trip. I think when we were doing Norway, we went over into Latvia. I will say Latvia is gorgeous, really, really gorgeous, amazing architecture. But Riga is there, and you see all these amazing photos. But then you got there and you saw that all those amazing photos were from like a few block radius. So then you're kind of like, oh, well, now I have 3 days to spend here. What am I going to do?
Oh, my goodness.
I mean, it's still really gorgeous. We loved it. But in terms of like food and just like sights to see, there wasn't as much as we expected.
What we're saying is it's a one-day trip.
One
That's
day.
right.
Go, but just spend one day.
Give it up for Lindsey, everybody. Head to her website, lookaboutlindsey.com, and find her on Instagram right there.